What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we're going to be diving into my first battles of the new season in Go Battle League. But before we do, I have some very important news for you all. Be sure to not TM your Pokemon to try to get the new moves, as they will not be available until Monday the 3rd at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is due to an ongoing Play Pokemon tournament that is happening this weekend, and a lot of the move updates will directly impact those Pokemon in that tournament. So to maintain basically a fair playing field for these trainers competing this weekend, the move update has been delayed till Monday. Yes, we have to wait a little bit, that's okay, but what's more important is that these trainers that are competing in Play Pokemon don't have their table flipped upside down halfway through the tournament, right? You want to have the move update happen after the tournament, and then we'll be good to go. So hopefully you guys didn't waste that many TMs. I personally did. I wasted a few TMs trying to get Thunder Punch on Typhlosion last night, and which is when I realized I need to look up why this is happening. And so I do apologize I didn't give you guys this information in my new season coverage video. It flew right under the radar for me. I didn't see it, but either way, that's what's going to be happening. You're going to see new Pokemon from me in Go Battle League come Monday, maybe Tuesday, because of how the scheduling works with 10 a.m. actually being much later time in the UK. So Tuesday, look forward to something like Typhlosion and stuff like that. But today's team is very strong. Defense Form Deoxys, Umbreon, and Dewgong. Probably one of my favorite go-to, just kind of safe, bulky, generalized teams that can do well in almost every meta. So I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, getting into the first battle, we have Deoxys on the lead versus Mantine. Now, I'm going through these battles basically from beginning to end. It's level 1. Okay, so what we have here is a matchup where the Thunderbolt is going to be basically one-shotting the Mantine, right? But I also need to be concerned about what they potentially have in the back. But thankfully, even if there is something like Annihilate in the back, at a shield advantage, which we are getting right here, Dewgong and Umbreon can do well in that matchup. So we're going to go ahead and no-shield the next Aerial Ace. We're going to look to go for a second Thunderbolt and go for that 2-0 shield advantage, or just take Switch. Now they will win Charge Attack priority right here, but a Defense Form Deoxys is going to be tanky enough to survive the Aerial Ace, so I decide to let it go through. That way I guarantee the 2-1 or 2-0 shield advantage, or I take Switch, which we get 2-0, so we're going to go ahead and let them farm me down. We're going to come in with Dewgong right now and start loading up on energy. Now, a play that my opponent has in front of them is to potentially catch an Icy Wind. So I'm not going to throw the charge move right when I have it. I'm just going to make sure to keep overloading on energy, as the opponent decided right there to swap out. Now, they swap into a Raichu, which is really spicy and cool. Raichu does have access to the updated Brick Break charge move, so I want to make sure I get rid of it very quickly with the Drill Run, and we do farm down. And the final Pokemon is going to be, well, it's going to be a Gliscor. So that is going to be a good game. Dewgong is going to be taking this right here. Obviously, Dewgong very strong in the Open Great League meta. Again, for everyone's reference, this is level 1 combat, so I'm fighting anyone and everyone. So good games to all my opponents. Obviously, I'm bringing a very strong, generalized kind of meta team just to cover all my bases when it comes to these battles, as all the new Pokemon I really want to try are currently unavailable to try, right? So good game to my opponent right here, Dewgong. Very tough for them to overcome, but we were able to take it. All right, moving to the next one, Politoed on the lead. Now, Politoed is a very interesting Pokemon where it is so spammy with Weather Ball. Now, we're going to go ahead and let these go through. Obviously, I want to try to set this up the same as before, where I get myself shield advantage, but my opponent has Surf instead of Weather Ball, which is to my advantage, because Surf is going to be costing a little bit more energy and not going to be hitting really, as I mean, it might hit a little bit harder. But we land the Thunderbolt, which is very important right there, as we can safely let this next Surf go through. There's no reason to be shielding right here. We're just going to be able to get a nice farm down, and then we get to see what they decide to come in with, and it is going to be a Cast Form. So we're going to throw the Psycho Boost right here, and look to go for a second one if we can, which I think we're going to be able to make it in time, but we don't. We do go down. So now we're going to bring in Umbreon. Cast Form here has access to Rock type Weather Ball. So we come in with Umbreon because we're only going to be taking neutral damage from it. And we do see the final Pokemon is going to be Credilli, which Dewgong can come into this matchup very safely because of that 2-to-1 shield advantage. Just because it is a grass and rock type Pokemon on the other side, which obviously Stone Edge would do a lot of damage, we have that shield advantage. We have the Icy Wind debuffs. This is why Dewgong is so good, and I'm going to be preaching this every season. If you guys haven't built one, you're going to eventually want to have one on your roster because of just how strong it is and always probably will be if nothing is affected by its moveset. Meaning, they don't nerf Ice Shard, they don't nerf Icy Wind, they don't nerf Drill Run. If it all stays the same, Dewgong is always going to be a consistent Pokemon that you can rely on in the Open Great League. Even in matchups against stuff like Registeel or Annihilate, which you guys are going to see later, it has utility there for your team. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Icy Wind here. This is going to be lowering the attack. Cast Form is relatively low, so obviously we're going to be taking this one. We will give up. We will just fast move down. I don't think the Weather Ball is going to be able to knock us out here. Now, looking at this, the Weather Ball was not Rock type. It was, I believe, Normal type right there. So good game to my opponent. All right. Or it may have been Fire. I don't know which one it has. All right, next game, we have Obstagoon here on the league. Well, obviously, massive lead for us. They are running with Lick as the fast move, and we see a Camerupt swap in. So that is extremely spicy. Now, Camerupt right here has access to very hard-hitting charge moves. You have to respect the Overheat and the Earth Power. So I'm going to go ahead and shield. It is going to be Overheat. But now we have a great opportunity where Ice Shard and Icy Wind are neutral. Yes, we could go for Drill Run for super effective. But what's better is the Icy Wind because this would knock out regardless. And they decide to shield, which means this next charge move from the Camerupt, the Overheat, I don't need to shield. And that's because of the attack debuff that they gave themselves with their own Overheat and the attack debuff that my Icy Wind gave them. So we're able to maintain switch advantage. We have 1-to-1 even shields, and we do see a Quagsire come in, which is going to be perfect. The double Icy Wind here is going to be applying the much needed debuffs that we need in order to win this game. We're going to come in with the Umbreon after that, and that is basically going to seal the deal for my opponent. Now, you guys will see that I make a play here in anticipation of what I think is coming. So you guys are going to see they decide to throw the charge move, which is fine. I'm guessing it's going to be like Stone Edge or something, but it is going to be Return, so pretty spicy by them. I decided to counter swap into Deoxys, thinking that's what they would do, right? In that situation, you're so debuffed by Quagsire that you need to try to get ahead on energy with the Obstagoon, but they decided to stay in, which is fine. Return is not going to be enough damage to take us out, and then here I will go for the Thunderbolt. It is going to be resisted, right, but I don't want to lower my attack by going for Psycho Boost. So this is still going to be enough damage to take out Quagsire, and then the Obstagoon coming in is going to be getting hit pretty hard here with Counter and Thunderbolt. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. Again, this is brand new season. You guys know how it is. New season, everyone likes trying new stuff. Me personally, the stuff I want to try is not available to me. So I'm going to go with an old faithful team and get myself some nice wins here, as that is going to be a good game. All right, moving into the next battle. Now, these battles get progressively more meta. This one, on the other hand, my opponent, kudos to my opponent for fighting the good fight. Welcome to Go Battle League. I'm sorry that you had to face off against my fully powered up kind of meta team, but my opponent here doesn't have any Pokemon that are fully powered up. You can see by the combat power in the top right. And again, there's nothing I can do about that. That's a Tangela at 11,000, or 11,000, could you imagine? 1,100 combat power. So it's going to be a good game. Now, I don't want to get Solar Beam, so I'm going to shield just in case. It is Solar Beam, so well played to my opponent right there, trying to boom me. But we will safely shield that and farm down. We have the Primeape coming back in, which unfortunately at 1,200 combat power is not going to be doing a lot. And Icy Wind will probably one-shot here. So we decide to let this go through. It could be close combat, so be it, but it's actually going to be Ice Punch. So my opponent actually doesn't have the charge move there, which again, welcome to Go Battle League. I'm so sorry maybe your first experience was this team, but keep going, right? Keep leveling up those Pokemon. Primeape is a really spicy, great fighter with good charge moves. You can run it with Night Slash and maybe Ice Punch or Night Slash in close combat for the coverages that you need. Hitmonchan, more on the spicy side. I think Primeape is a bit better, but Hitmonchan right here decided to go for Power Punch, which we will respect and shield, and then farm down. So it's going to be a good game. All right, moving to the next one. Now we have some more meta teams. We got Gligar right here on the lead. Now, with a Gligar lead, there could be anything and everything in the back. Gligar fulfills two roles in one. It fulfills the role of like an anti-tank and also an grass and fighter, right? By anti-tank, I mean something like Registeel or Bastion, right? It has access to that dig. So what I actually want to do is do a chip and dip. I want to come into Dewgong right here, which I am giving up my hardest counter. But if I get a few Ice Shards through, like I did right there, it softens up this Gligar so that the Umbreon or Dewgong can easily, or the Umbreon or Defense Form Deoxys can handle it later on in this battle. Now, they swap in a Registeel, and I love Registeels that swap into Dewgong, especially late, because now I am at an advantage against them. Lock-on's not going to farm me down. There is no way this Registeel is going to beat me when it comes to fast moves. So, what we're going to do instead is gauge how I want to try to win this game, and that's going to be determined by if I can get to back-to-back drill runs right here. So what we're going to do is throw this next one. They decide to shield, which is fine, and now I'm going for the next one, and I get it just in time, and I think that's because the opponent decided to go for Zap Cannon first instead of Focus Blast, and now this drill run gets us the 1-0 shield advantage, which now I am perfectly fine letting the Dewgong go. I could win this matchup. I could have shielded that and gone for another one, but instead I want energy here on Defense Form Deoxys. I'm gonna go for the Psycho Boost to knock out the Gligar. This will lower my attack, but I have my swap out ready and available to me. We do see a Lickitung swap in, so I'm going to build up to Thunderbolt and now swap in the Umbreon into the Lickitung matchup, as this is very favorable for me, right? Umbreon has the 1-0 shield advantage. We have the resistances for the Lick. Power Whip and Body Slam are not going to do that much damage. We just want to make sure we're going for foul plays here, because eventually Registeel might just swap back in to try to catch a charge move. So we always want to ensure we don't get caught trying to throw a last resort, as foul plays, right, it's neutral damage still anyways. So we're just going to let these go. I can easily survive right here with Umbreon. We're going to go for another foul play. The Lickitung is in a tough place right here. They need to swap in eventually into Registeel, and when they do, like they do right here, I have foul play ready to go, and I can easily shield their charge move and farm down with Snarl. As you guys are going to see, even though there's not a lot of HP left, this is going to be at least 3 Snarls worth of energy, which is fine. I can safely shield, because I'm going to need Umbreon in order to win this game. If I let the Defense Form Deoxys come in and farm down, the Lickitung, I mean, I don't think it takes us out, right? We do have Thunderbolt. So we're going to go for Last Resort here. I believe it does slightly more damage overall. And then we can swap into the Psycho Boost Defense Form Deoxys to close this game out, as they have no, no shields remaining. Good battle. All right. Moving into the next one, we have Deoxys on the lead versus Skarmory. Okay, so Skarmory, really nice matchup for us. This is a Air/Skarmory, so not Steel Wing. That's important to note. What I like about Defense Form Deoxys right here is the fact that I am so bulky that I can survive fast moves, right, and easily survive a Sky Attack, and also Thunderbolt does super effective damage. Now, they decided to let that go, which tells me they're likely going to look to go for a Brave Bird. So I will shield, and then we will farm down as they decide not to swap out. This is fine. I'm okay with maintaining switch advantage here. And now we get to see what they come in with. And we're going to see, once again, another Politoed. But this Politoed, unfortunately, has Bubble as the fast move, which is not as effective at gaining energy. And I think my opponent realized it right here when they decide to surrender, as I try to catch the charge move there. But maybe they put in the wrong Politoed and they wanted their Mudshot one. Good game. All right, here we go. Umbreon on the lead. This is going to be a tough battle. I'm going to look to catch the charge move here on Dewgong, but they hold the energy, and rightfully so. Now they swap into Azumarill. Now, Azumarill is not necessarily safe against a Dewgong, and you guys will see why. Dewgong can actually flip this mid-game matchup in the no shields, especially when slightly ahead on energy, which is which is really cool, right? Dewgong has that capability, so we're gonna go ahead and no shield the play rough. We're going to look to go for Icy Wind here, because what this will do is by throwing an Icy Wind at this point, I could have thrown it first there at the beginning, but the Icy Wind here is now going to force them to throw 2 play roughs. They can no longer throw a play rough and farm me down with bubble. They have to throw 2 play roughs, and by that time, I will be able to get to 2 drill runs right here. So as you guys can see, the damage adding up. Had the Icy Wind not been thrown, they probably would have been able to bubble me down. So we can go for back-to-back drill runs right here. And this is going to be enough neutral damage to take out the Azumarill, which is fantastic, because now we either get switch or we force a shield from them. So we get switch advantage. We took down the Azumarill. Perfect. All right. Now we get to see what is going to be coming in. It is going to be the Umbreon. So now the Umbreon is going to be forced to throw energy, and we also chunked the health there on Umbreon a bit lower so that when we come into this mirror fight, as obviously I'm bringing in my own Umbreon, we are well ahead in terms of the potential to win this mirror matchup in the 0 shields, because I have such a high health advantage, even though they have a little bit of an energy advantage against me. So I'm going to keep overloading on energy, just seeing what they're doing, wondering if maybe they're going to try to swap out and catch a charge move. But right here, we're looking pretty good. We're just going to go straight last resorts in this matchup, as they will go for one themselves. We're going to let this go. There's no reason to be shielding just yet. I don't know what Pokemon is in the back, but it is going to be Talonflame. So we're going to go for the foul play here to soften it up, and then we need to come in with Defense Form Deoxys and really try to manage this fight as best as possible. So I'm going to go for Thunderbolt. Could have gone for one more counter right there. The Thunderbolt will obviously get shielded, but the whole goal is to go for one Thunderbolt and then try to go for 3 Psycho Boosts. So we're going to go, we shield the Flame Charge there, and now we're going to try our best to constantly overload on energy, not giving up any Psycho Boost debuffs just yet, as we will shield the final Flame Charge, and this is where things get really dicey. We're going to go for Psycho Boost. Could have gone for another counter right there. I recognized this myself when I was doing the battles, so you guys will see after this Psycho Boost, I decide to go for 1, 2, and now throw it, and my opponent is going to try to go for one more Incinerate to farm me down, but unfortunately for them, it is not going to be enough as we get to this Psycho Boost, and that is going to be a good game as we knock out the Talonflame right here. And then in the Umbreon mirror, obviously we are ahead, and the what you guys are going to see is the timer at the top came up, which means this battle went to full 5 minutes, which rarely happens in the Open Great League, but Last Resort is going to be able to delay the time long enough where they won't be able to throw double Last Resorts themselves, and that means I'm going to be taking it because I have the 2-to-1 Pokemon advantage and more health. So good game. Alright, moving to the next one. Wigglytuff on the lead. Now, I'm always fearful of seeing Wigglytuffs because I know there is something else a bit crazy paired with it. It could be something like a Shadow Magnezone. It could be something like Bastiodon. Who knows? So what I'm going to try to do here is maintain switch advantage. I tried to go for the Psycho Boost, but I'm going to try to maintain switch advantage, so I will give up a shield. I wish I would have been able to just farm down, and that would have been more ideal because I would have had so much energy, but now I throw the Psycho Boost, and we swap into Dewgong right away, a blind swap, and they have Annihilate in the back, which is okay for me because I can safely no shield unless it's close combat, right? If it's close combat, so be it. But if it's Shadow Ball, I survive. And now what we can do is go for Icy Wind. This is going to even up the shields. My opponent is going to recognize that, you know what, maybe there's some play to be had with Annihilate. They're going to give up a shield to maintain a lot of health, and they do get some energy on the farm down. So now I have to basically show my hand. I have to come in with Umbreon, because if they are in fact running Shadow Ball and Night Slash, Umbreon is going to be the best play right here, because counter is not going to do enough damage. But my opponent makes a beautifully timed swap to catch the foul play on a Greninja. That is a beautiful swap by my opponent. Hats off. They even stopped their counter to wait to make sure to try to catch it from me. So I should have recognized that, you know what, they're going to try to swap. Let me hold this energy. As last resort is not going to be enough, I swap into Deoxys right here to try to get the one counter tap to knock out the Greninja, but they hold on, so I have to let the Night Slash go through. And then Umbreon coming in, I'm going to have to shield this Hydro Cannon. And now it's going to be a race between the Annihilate and the Umbreon. They don't have access to any charge moves that hurt, right? Everything's resisted. But what this is going to come down to is foul play going to be doing enough damage to knock them out? Because all I need is 2 foul plays if that's going to be the case. So this is going to be an extremely close game. I go for the foul play, and we're going to find out that my opponent knows, in fact, that it is not going to be enough to knock out, so they safely no shield, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. I even overloaded to try to actually they saw the last resort, so it's fine. That's going to be a good game. They're going to be able to counter me down, an extremely close one, but ultimately it came down to the catch by the opponent on the Greninja. Good battle. All right, moving to the next one, we have Golbat here on the lead. Now, Golbat has access to Shadow Ball, so I got to be very careful about the defense form Deoxys. And what I'm going to look to do is for a Psycho Boost, which is obviously a ton of damage, and then I'm going to be swapping out into Dewgong right away to force them to throw energy and swap out themselves, as this is going to be a Poison Fang, so we can easily let this go. Now they swap in a Tentacruel, which is pretty spicy. I can safely go for Drill Runs right here, as this will do a lot of damage in this matchup, as it is part Poison type. So 2 Drill Runs should be enough. Now the Tentacruel is in a position where they could go for Scald and knock me out. So I'm going to decide to shield here, but they went for Acid Spray. So well played to my opponent. I should be going for Icy Wind right here, because odds are they want to maintain switch advantage, and they decide to shield the Drill Run. So good play to my opponent. Should have gone for Icy Wind, because that would have allowed me to get to another one in time. But right now, I'm in kind of a tough position. I don't know what the second Pokemon is in the back, but I figure they need an answer for something like Bastiodon and what have you. So if that's the case, then maybe Defense Form Deoxys does well in that situation. So I'm just going to no-shield these charge moves, but unfortunately because of the Acid Spray and now the Scald, Umbreon is going to get extremely low. So this is going to get dicey. I'm just going to risk it all here. I'm going to go for the aggressive farm down, and now we find out that they actually have their own Umbreon lurking in the back. This is not a Pokemon I was anticipating. It makes sense now, considering the double poison dark, the ABA kind of formation that they're running right here, as the Umbreon is actually going to do pretty well. Now, I'm going to decide to no-shield the foul play, as I think the hardest hitting move left is going to be the Shadow Ball. So we see the Golbat come in. We're going to go for Thunderbolt here, as this is going to be a lot of super effective damage, but unfortunately for me, it's not enough to one-shot. So I have to give up my final shield here on Deoxys. The reason being is my own Umbreon is way too low, and to counteract their potentially have a win condition, I have to get to this Thunderbolt against Umbreon, which is going to be key, because this is so much neutral damage. It's not a lot, but it's enough where we are now in the mirror. And this is where things get a bit crazy, because last resort right here is not enough to knock them out. They survive with like 3 health right there, but my opponent, unfortunately, I think is running Foul Play Psychic, which means we win. Good game to my opponent. And, oh, it jumped ahead, or jumped back and ahead. So that was the team, obviously. First day of Go Battle League of the new season, brought something super safe, and just netting positive wins, positive sets, as we wait in anticipation for all the fun new Pokemon that we can try come Monday. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you guys didn't waste that many TMs, And best of luck in your battles. And let me know what Pokemon are you guys excited for come Monday, because that is going to be a very fun and spicy day. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.